Hi everyone, Denise here again, and we're going to make this lovely little shaker card. So I'm going to do it both ways because if you watch my videos, you know I never know if it's upside down or not. But I do want to point something out, and this is what happens when you don't use either enough foam tape or like decent foam tape, or you miss something. Do you see at the bottom there? Do you see how the sample, what's happening is the shakers are coming out? Now look there, because either the tape wasn't adhered to properly, or they weren't in the middle and they got on the tape, the sequence I'm talking about, or it wasn't pressed hard enough when it was done, or it got older. Now this shouldn't be that old where the tape went bad, but I mean it could happen. But this shouldn't be so old for that. It could have been old tape that I used though, which I guess could always be a problem. But usually what happens, and that's why we say when you do something with a shaker, make sure that you're pressing down all the time, whether it's when you're putting the tape on initially or when you take the paper off and now you're pressing on here, and that the sequins are in the middle but not mounded up so that it creates kind of a bubble. You want them sort of flattened out, but in the middle, nowhere near where you're doing your tape, to save yourself this kind of headache, because no one wants sequins all over their floor, and worse, what if it was glitter, right? So just a little heads up. So this is the card that we're going to make today. So you've got your kit, you have your white paper, which you'll need, you have your card base, so it's going to be a left fold, so on the left hand side is where it should be. Your envelope, pop it over there, you don't need it. You have a piece of acetate. You have a yellow, I know our sample was white, but we used yellow in class. You have a yellow cutout of a jar, and then we gave you the jar. You don't need this for the class. Pop it to the side. You've got some sequins in your kit, and you've got some flowers, different colors of pink, and some leaves packaged up there. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you is you're going to need some dry clear glue and some foam tape. This border here is pretty skinny. If you have 1/8 of an inch foam tape, not squares, you need a solid line of foam tape. So if you have 1/8 of an inch, that's gonna be best. 1/4 inch, you're gonna have to work it. It'll work. I used 1/4 inch. It'll work, but it's gonna be tight in some spots. And if that's the case, either try to cut it or grab yourself 1/8 of an inch at your local store. I don't think they have 1/8 at LI Craft Stop. So you're going to need that, and you're going to need some blue ink. Now, we're not going to ink together, nor am I going to put the card together, because we only have a few kits left, and there have been a lot of interest in them. So I'm going to pretend I'm making the card, and you are going to make along with me. Now, if you need to pause or rewind because I'm speaking too quickly or you're making together, as we talk about it, go ahead and pause, go ahead and rewind. That's the beauty of video. What I am going to tell you is that the first thing that you're going to do, so you need your dries clear glue. I know my thumb, I'm sorry, I cut it. Your dries clear glue, we use Barely Arts at the store, the Barely Arts dries clear with that fine tip. You can also use the Art glitter glue dries clear with the fine tip, whatever works for you. We use the Barely Art at the store because it doesn't freeze in the winter and it can be shipped safely. So, you're going to take your white sheet, not the card base, your white sheet. And if you don't know how to ink on a piece of paper or ink blend on paper, then I want you to head over to that video and do that. We are going to use just one color. It's not going to be multicolor. You see here that I've lightly done it in blue. And when I say lightly, I just wanted it to sort of mimic water in a jar. So I didn't want it really dark because, if you had like a mason jar, which is kind of what that looks like, you'd be able to see through it, right? And I mean, water is clear anyway, but we always use blue, right? When we use water, for a jar, for a vase. So you just kind of want a hint of something there. We used, I want to say this was probably Salty Ocean. And I always use Distress Oxide inks. As a rule, when I do cards, it's just a habit that I have. Straighten that out. So I would have had a very light touch, and it's okay that it's darker in some places than others because, it is what it is. So first thing you want to do is you want to go ink that up. So you'll have to go do that. Maybe you want to pause or go watch that video, and it's the one, you're just ink blending and with one color. If you don't have Salty Ocean or you don't use Distress Oxide, use whatever you have. It's perfectly fine. Use any kind of blue. I tend to use blending brushes. If you have like the applicators, the foam applicators, go ahead. The finger daubers are going to be a little tough for this one. It's going to take you a long time to do it unless you're very proficient in it. But use whatever you have on hand, whatever color you have on hand, whatever applicator you have on hand. Get this colored blue and come on back. All right. So I'm going to assume that you're back from coloring at this point. So now we're gonna do kind of the easy stuff. The first thing we're gonna do, because we want it to dry, is you're gonna take that dry as clear glue. You're going to take your jar. Now you'll see one side on the yellow is textured and one side is not. One side is a little bit embossed, and the other side is not from the die. The texture side is the side you want facing up for the card. So you're gonna face it down. So at this point, because we're gonna glue, you have, there we go, a piece of acetate, right? We want to glue that to the back of the yellow. So we don't want to glue it to the textured side. We want to glue it to the smooth side. And we're using the dry as clear glue. Now, again, I'm not going to actually make this because I want there to be a kit left for somebody who wants it instead of using one. Just put your glue on. You don't want to put it everywhere, like especially here. You don't want it to ooze into this. You don't want it to really ooze it because you won't have a way to clean it. It will dry clear, but you will kind of see it on the acetate. So you don't have to have it everywhere for this. This is not where your shakers are going to be or your sequins are going to be. So once you have your glue, I would work on plastic or glass because I tend to get messy, because now we're going to take it and we're going to really get that down. We're going to make sure, you know, that it's even and that it's full coverage, and we're going to get that on there. And because it might ooze out the side, that's why I use plastic, because on paper it'll stick, and now I feel like I ruined my card. So once I do that and I press down and I get a really good connection between the two, some good adhesion, I'm gonna move it to the side and leave it so that it's got a little bit of time to dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, now you have two options here. You can use this yellow and do the white, but there's no need, right? You already have the yellow. So what I would do with this yellow, if you have that piece, I would put it to the side. And I would take my blue, now remember we're pretending that I inked this blue. Take my blue, and with my glue, I'm gonna glue it down. All right? I'm gonna use my Barely Arts glue, I'm gonna glue it down. I'm gonna make sure it's all glued down, and it won't matter yet, but remember, I want my fold, I want my card to open, right? I want it to be a left fold, right? I don't want the right to confuse you. We want the fold to be on the left. How's that? So once I have that done, and again, this is gonna be blue. Once I have that done, I'm going to take my pile of shakers, which I don't have here, the sequins. Now, actually, before I do that, I may take a tape runner. I never use tape runners for cards, but I may take a tape runner and do a little, just a quick little, I know it's a noise, but like that quick, maybe 5 or 6 times, because even though, I mean, we can see this is a shaker because it's fallen out, right? I'm just hitting this on the bottom. You see how some of them are still there? It's because I put a little bit of tape runner, because I want people to know that it's a shaker card when they get it. People getting cards may not be familiar with shaker cards. You know, they might not be card makers. And they're gonna all fall to the bottom, which also could be what happened here. I didn't use enough adhesive, and see, they're all at the bottom. So I want them to see that there are some things here, because seeing this automatically means people are gonna go like this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to take my sequins, I'm gonna put them in the middle, I'm gonna flatten them out. You know, I have to remember to put them in the middle, and really, I guess, more of a rectangle because of the way our jar is. So we have more room up, down than we do side to side. We don't want them in a mound because that will affect what happens here. Now, you can put that to the side. You can also wait to do the sequins until this part is done. I like to get the sequins out of the way, but it doesn't matter which step comes first. This is where you're going to take your foam tape, and you're going to put the tape, not squares, not dots. This is what, remember, we looked at what happens when you don't use the right thing. So the tape here, you either do top and bottom first, then fill in the sides, or do the sides first, then fill in top and bottom. But the corners must connect. You can't have any gaps. If you do, your sequins will fall out of wherever that gap is. So you're going to adhere it. I have more room top bottom, so that's probably what I'm gonna do first. I'm going to put it here and then here. I'm going to have no gaps. Now, if that means I had to put it here and then cut a little bit extra and then wiggle it in or cut a little bit more, that's fine. Then that's what I have to do. Once I have all 4 pieces on, I'm going to really go like this, and I'm going to make sure that they're down really well. Then I'm going to take the paper off the tape. I'm going to carefully move my card back, which is why I say if you want to do the shaker, the sequin part after, that's fine too. I'm going to take this, and I have 1 shot, and I can't hold it like this because in theory you've got tape here. So I've got 1 shot to get it right over that blue piece and get it down. You don't have 2 shots when it comes to foam tape. Put it down, and again, press. Go over it and press. Right? Go over and press. And what you'll have then is your shaker. Now, it will have dimension. Mine doesn't. Yours will, because you'll have that foam tape there. And your shakers will be there. Now you're going to take your flowers. And all you're going to do is layer them. And I'm going to put this like this and leave it here for a minute in case you want to take a screenshot of it. I literally just glued some layers here, some big, some small. I kept more of the smaller for up top, so some of the bigger ones, so you see I have bigger ones here. And then as I put a few here, like I started sort of in a triangle, and then I kind of filled in. And some of them I did use round or square pop dots. I used round on these because the center of the flower was round. So I did use some round pop dots so that they were popped up. You can maybe see that here. Yep, so you see how some of them are popped up. They each have a pearl in the center, which I would not do until they're on there because it just kind of makes it easier to get them on. So you see again, there are pearls under there, and some of them are raised up. And again, just circle pop dots. And when I was done with these, I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna put it upside down just in case. When I was done, then I took my leaves, I put a little bit of glue on the front and the back. So on this particular stem, right? You see that there. So I put some on the front of the stem, the little piece, and then the back. And then I just popped it into where I thought. Now, fair warning, when I did this card, it was a sample. I'm gonna turn this over again, just in case it's better this way. When I did this card, it was a sample. So this is a 5x7. Please notice the leaves hang off the back, right? Yep, so there are only 13 of these left. So when the leaves hang off the back, it means you're gonna have to trim them or fold them or something. So keep in mind that you'll wanna keep yours all within the card base to fit it in the envelope, unless you're actually handing it to someone or you have a bigger envelope. Okay. And I just fit in the leaves where I thought the flowers were empty or where I thought it needed it. You may use all the flowers, you may not use all the flowers. It's totally up to you. It's your creation. So that's how we made this. It's really a pretty quick and easy shaker card there. The biggest time consumer on this card for me was the placement of the flowers, because I agonize over every single placement every time. But if you are more creative than me and you have one of those minds, you're probably not as anal about this as I am, and you did a great job on your card, and it took you far less time than it took me. So let us know how you did. Please be sure to post your creation on the Facebook group, which is Scrapbooking Stuff Group on Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel here and click that bell so the next time we have videos going up, you can take a look at them, whether it's a technique that we've done in a class or if it's a class that you have signed up for and got the kit for. And if that's the case, thanks very much for supporting us. Or you just want to look at the card and you want to see what you have at home that can work with it and try it out on your own, which is also equally great. We love to inspire you. Either way, be sure that you post those creations so we can all ooh and ah over them and learn from them and copy from you too. Remember, casing is love, right? Copy and share everything. That's what casing means. So let us know. If you have any questions, please put them in the Facebook group though, because I don't really monitor the comments on the YouTube channel, so I will see it more on the Facebook page. Thanks for joining us. I hope we'll see you in the stores soon. I hope you'll order a card kit again soon. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.